What's going on, everybody? It's Nice Pants Lance. Today I am at Dynotech with Jim. This is a dyno shop out in Batavia, New York. Check them out. They're located at Apollo Drive. So today we are going to run my Triumph Speed Twin on the dyno and see what kind of power figures it makes, see where it's making torque and for how long, you know, all the good stuff. So I'm really excited. I've done a few mods to this bike so far. I've got a DNA air filter snorkel removal. I've got a catless X pipe. I've got slip-ons, and there is a tune on this bike. So kind of curious to see how much power it makes. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to run this bike on the dyno while it was in stock configuration, so we're not going to see any gains today. We're merely just running it and seeing what it makes, you know, just giving it a whirl. So we're just getting things set up inside. Jim's taking care of business, so I'll catch you in a few. Jim, how long you been in business over here?
36 or 37 years.
36 years, wow.
Yeah. You know, and originally I built this dyno. This was kind of my concept. I bought this super flow engine dyno. Normally it'd be like a V8 engine sitting here, but I wanted to be able to dyno test snowmobiles and motorcycles. So I got this hydraulic lift and a drive shaft system that I used to connect to the crankshafts on the engine. And when I used to do motorcycles, I still do motorcycles on this dyno once in a while. I've got spline adapters that we put on the transmission output shaft and connect to the super flow engine dyno, measure fuel flow. And
so I could come in with a drive shaft powered motorcycle and get a crank readout.
Or if that's a chain drive, the chain is on the left side of the transmission, that tire, then you can still do testing here. And I still would do like really powerful like pro stock bikes on this dyno, because when they invented the roller dyno, maybe 10 years after I built this, that made testing a lot easier and setting them up. It's pretty convenient for a guy just to drive in and do back tire testing. It's interesting. Right, this is my main deal. I do snowmobiles mostly with this dyno, and I get people come from all over North America to use this equipment. It's pretty unique. But now that we've got this roller dyno, it makes it a lot more affordable for the average shop. So there's a lot more of these wheel dynos around now, which makes it great for everybody.
Yeah, that's basically all I see these days on YouTube is roller dynos.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it works good. Yeah, Mark Novak used to own DynoJet. He came up with this concept. He deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for coming up with it, because it's way more affordable than buying a super flow engine dyno.
you have it, everybody. I just want to say a few quick things about this dyno graph here. But generally speaking, the Speed Twin did way better than I expected it to do. Keep in mind, this is DynoJet values, so they will read a tad high. Also, dyno to dyno makes a big difference too. Not every dyno reads the same, so just keep that in mind. But the Triumph Speed Twin made 95.2 wheel horsepower at 6,500 RPM and made 89 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPM. That's a crazy amount of torque, especially considering how light this bike is. Definitely confirms a lot of things that I've been feeling on the butt dyno. Given that twist of a throttle, and you really have that pull your arms out feeling with this bike, and this bike really shows. I mean, between like under 3,000 RPM all the way up to 6,000 RPM, you're getting more than 80 pound-feet of torque, and that's normally kind of something you'd see like with like a freaking Sportster 1200 or something that's a little more cruisery, a little more low down torquey. So at the same time, it revs out pretty dang high. It makes its peak horsepower above 6,500 RPM. I personally think that this bike is kind of unique in the fact that you have enough horsepower and enough revs in your power band where you can rev past really torquey Harleys and torquey Indians, like even Harleys with built engines. Anything that's really torquey. You're out riding with your Goldwing buddies, just any bike that's got a serious amount of torque to it, and you're going to be able to rev past those guys. But at the same time, it makes so much torque that when you're out riding with lighter, more powerful sporty bikes, 600cc sport bikes, bikes that rev out a little higher, they make a little less torque, they make most of their power in the mid to higher ranges. You're going to be able to blast away from those guys at the stoplight. On the street, you're going to be able to rip that throttle, and you're going to kind of jump ahead of them, especially if they're not in their power band, which is a subtle nuance of revier engines, is that if you want the maximum power, you're going to have to be in the correct power band for that. So this Speed Twin just gives you the best of both worlds, lets you do it all, especially when you're out riding with a whole bunch of different riders. You're going to be doing pretty dang well. Obviously, you bring this bike to a track or to the drag strip, and you can see the gap widen a little bit. But generally speaking, this bike makes a ton of power, a ton of torque. I'm really happy with what this bike makes, and thanks again to Jim over at Dynotech Research. Definitely check them out online or on Facebook. Jim is a legend. He's a master at what he does, and I can't thank him enough for letting me run the dyno myself. That was pretty cool. So, hey, if you like this video and you want to see more on the Triumph Speed Twin, give this video a like. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe. Peace.